Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is at the centre of a fresh royal controversy involving the use of royal branding on private correspondence that has since appeared publicly on social media.
At the same time, ITV, one of Britain's largest commercial broadcasters, has quietly moved away from any meaningful future involvement with the Sussexes. Prince William, as heir to the throne, now faces both developments simultaneously, with limited tools at his disposal and considerable institutional weight bearing down on every decision he makes. These two stories are connected. Both concern influence, image, and the question of where power within the Sussex narrative currently sits. Together, they raise substantive questions about the Duchess's public strategy and the monarchy's long-term position on non-working royals using royal identity for commercial purposes.
The immediate controversy involves a gift package sent by Meghan to one of her most committed supporters, an individual who has spent substantially on the As Ever lifestyle brand and has advocated for the Duchess publicly and consistently. That recipient shared the package's contents on social media, drawing wide attention to what it contained: a handwritten note on headed paper bearing a cipher and a coronet, imagery that carries unmistakable royal associations. Meghan's legal position is not complicated. She holds the title Duchess of Sussex. It has not been withdrawn. Her team would argue, as it has in comparable situations, that using styling connected to a title she legitimately holds is entirely within her rights, and that argument has legal foundation. The difficulty lies in the accumulated context. This is not the first time the boundaries between Meghan's commercial activities and her royal identity have attracted scrutiny. The monogrammed luggage carrying the initials DOS, the earlier dispute over HRH styling, these incidents have built up over several years. Each time, the Sussex response has been consistent. The title belongs to her, and its use is a private matter.
What makes the current situation worth examining more carefully is the question of deliberation. The supporter who received the package shared it publicly, and the imagery it contained, crested stationery, royal-style formatting, moved quickly across social media. Whatever the intent, the result was to place Meghan's royal-adjacent branding back into broad public circulation at a moment when the palace is already managing significant pressures on other fronts. The comparison drawn by some observers is to Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, who traded commercially on her royal connection for many years following her separation from Prince Andrew. That arrangement was imperfect and at times contentious, but it was tolerated. Meghan has pointed to that precedent previously. The palace has never formally addressed the tension that comparison creates. The pattern of targeted fan engagement also merits attention in its own right. Meghan's team has directed personal correspondence, gifts, and focused attention toward a small number of highly committed supporters, individuals who spend consistently, advocate publicly, and generate organic reach on social media. It is a recognised model of audience cultivation, associated with several major entertainment figures who built loyal followings through direct personal outreach rather than conventional media infrastructure. The strategy extends influence without requiring the traditional channels that have, in Britain at least, become less accessible to the Sussexes.
For Prince William, the problem is structural rather than personal. Moving against Meghan openly, whether through title proceedings or formal public statements, risks generating the kind of dispute that draws more attention to the issue than silence would. The Andrew precedent demonstrated both the mechanism for stripping titles and the scale of controversy it produces. Adding a second such battle at a time when that situation remains unresolved would serve no institutional interest. At the same time, allowing the current pattern to continue without any response carries its own long-term costs. The monarchy operates in significant part as an institution of symbolic authority, one of the most globally recognised in the world. Each time royal imagery appears in a commercial or semi-commercial context outside the palace's direct control, it erodes the clarity of what that symbolism represents and who holds authority over it.
The palace's approach to date has been measured, quiet signals, diplomatic reversals, the return of Frogmore Cottage among them, rather than direct confrontation. Whether that approach has achieved its intended effect is, by now, a fair question. The commercial activity around the Sussex brand has continued without material interruption. The more consequential challenge facing William is not any single incident. It is the absence of a clear, formally established position on what non-working royals may do with royal identity. That question has never been fully resolved, and the current situation is a direct consequence of that ambiguity. Until it is addressed with some degree of institutional clarity, the pattern is likely to persist. The ITV dimension of this story is grounded in commercial logic. There was a period when the Sussexes represented a substantial media opportunity for the broadcaster. The expectation, never formally agreed but widely understood within the industry, was that ITV's favourable coverage and demonstrated goodwill would be reciprocated through access, interviews, programme appearances, content that would validate the broadcaster's earlier investment. ITV acted on that expectation. Sending a production team to the United States to secure Harry's interview with Tom Bradby represented a real financial commitment. Travel, accommodation, and production costs that were treated as the opening of a longer and mutually beneficial relationship. The anticipated returns did not follow. Requests for Meghan to appear on morning programming, to discuss the As Ever brand, to talk about her lifestyle projects, to provide the content that would have made the original outlay worthwhile, received no substantial response. Multiple approaches, according to those with knowledge of the broadcaster's internal position, were not taken up. Jeremy Clarkson's continued prominence at ITV explains the broadcaster's current position more clearly than any formal statement. Despite significant public pressure to cut ties with him following a widely condemned column about Meghan, ITV held firm, and the commercial logic behind that decision has since become obvious. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire delivers consistent ratings. Clarkson's Farm became one of the most watched factual programmes in recent British television, and a choir from that same programme recently won Britain's Got Talent, earning a royal variety show performance in the process. That is a consistent record of audience delivery and cultural impact. The Sussex relationship, by contrast, returned very little against ITV's earlier investment, and those familiar with the broadcaster's thinking say the Sussexes no longer feature in its forward plans.
Both stories, Meghan's use of royal branding and ITV's withdrawal, point to the same central question. What is the Sussex name worth, and on whose terms?
Meghan continues building a commercial identity rooted in royal title, without the obligations that title traditionally carries. The palace has yet to establish any formal boundary around that. William faces competing institutional pressures with no clean resolution available, and ITV has simply followed the money elsewhere. Three very different positions, all circling the same unresolved arrangement. What happens next remains genuinely open. Whether Meghan's brand retains its current momentum without meaningful British media support, whether William eventually takes a firmer institutional position, whether the palace finally addresses the title question with any real clarity, none of that has been settled. What is clear is that every decision made on all sides is quietly shaping the terms of something that has no formal agreement behind it.
So the question worth asking is this: where do you think this is heading? Do you believe William will eventually draw a harder line, or will the current arrangement simply continue indefinitely? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because on a story this layered, the conversation is far from finished.